I learned everything, almost all the negative things that I learned in school. So I learned, about pornography in school. I learned about drugs and addictions in school. I learned about cussing and swearing and all the things in school. I learned about, cheating and backstabbing people in school, all the negative things I learned in school.
Yeah. But you were socialized.
Yeah, but I was socialized.
That's how you were socialized, Richard. That's the wild thing to me when people come with that argument. I'm like, okay, in what real world scenario are you with a bunch of people your age? A room full of 30 people your age? That never happens.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
Why would you want to outsource the socialization of your kid to an undeveloped 10-year-old? I don't want you socializing my kid. I'll do it. Thank you very much.
Tough.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married with the Muchicas podcast. We're so excited to be here. We are Richard and Haley Muchica. We have been married for 13 years. We have 4 children ranging from 11 to 6, and we homeschool and run a home-based business, and we're very beginner homesteaders. Got a little bit more legit today because our chickens laid their very first egg.
That's right.
Which is so exciting. And
a small, tiny egg.
Their first egg is a little weird.
Is that why? Okay.
Yeah. And all the other fun home things. So we started this podcast a little over a year ago. We're here almost
2 years now, huh? How many? Is it
no, it was a year in February.
Year in February? Okay, so a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah,
my gosh.
It's crazy.
And we're here almost every week talking about marriage. And that's
our thing, huh?
Our goal with this podcast is we want to see people enjoy their marriages and thrive in their marriages, and that's why we started this.
If you would ask me, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, do you think you'll ever do a marriage podcast? I'd be like, no, I'd probably never do a marriage podcast. Yeah.
The first time we talked about doing it was 3 years ago.
Was it 3 years ago?
It was on our 10-year anniversary in Hawaii. Remember? We kind of we're like, well, that would be fun.
Okay, yeah.
That was 3 years ago.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Time
so
flies.
Maybe if we asked you 4 or 5 years ago, you'd have been like, nah, I don't think so.
That's probably what it is. Probably 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, maybe 3. Yeah. Good call.
But yes, how are you? Anything?
I'm doing good. Yes.
Anything fun in your life?
Anything fun in my life? Well, I've been really YouTube. I like YouTube, but lately I've been watching a lot of beard content. I'm like,
our girls like the beard content.
The beard content, like how to shape a beard, trim a beard. It's all beard. If you go on YouTube, you're probably going to see just beard video after beard video. I'm pretty obsessed with them. I don't know why.
That's funny.
They're fun.
We alternate who puts the girls and who puts the boys down. And when it's Richard's turn with the girls, they get so excited because he's going to watch satisfying beard videos, is what they call it. And it's just men trimming their beards and angling them, and they just love it.
It's, that whole satisfying thing is a thing. That is a thing.
Yeah, they love it.
What's going down in your world?
Oh my gosh. I had an interesting week.
Yeah.
I had it got kind of a rough start. And then it's kind of gotten better the last couple of days. But I'm going to go see a functional medicine doctor next week, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah.
Check on some hormone things and just wanting to feel the doctor I'm going to is called an optimal you. And I was like, that's what I want. I just want to feel optimal.
Yeah.
Do that for me. So I'm excited about that. It should be good.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. Get the hormones.
Yeah.
Flowing, checked.
Being a woman's a funny thing. And it's there's so many, would you know? Would you know better than I do? But it's just you go pre-pregnancy and then pregnancy is a whole other thing, and then post-pregnancy is a whole other thing, and then having young kids is a whole thing. It's just it's always changing.
There's a lot to manage. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about today. Today on the podcast, we are talking about one of my very favorite topics in the world.
In the whole wide world.
And it feels very appropriate with all the kids and stuff going back to school or not going back to school, depending on what your family does. But we're talking about homeschooling, and that's kind of the big focus on today's episode. And why...
The H word?
The H word, yes.
I like that.
And on first glance, you might think, well, that's not really marriage related. But the way that our family does it, it's very much like a family process. It's a lifestyle. It is not just a couple hours a day at the school table or whatever. It's literally just life, and that is how we learn.
Yeah.
And so it very much incorporates our marriage and our parenting and our life in general. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
so we've
our values, who we are, how we choose to live life, the perspective of life that we have, like all that shines through homeschool.
Priorities. Yeah.
Priorities. Yeah.
And like, yeah. So we've done entire episodes about like why we chose homeschooling and why it's a good fit for our family.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on that a little bit today. But really what I wanted to talk about today was this idea that I feel like every year of homeschooling, I've changed a little bit and grown a little bit and changed how I look at it and my perspective. But what I've really leaned into lately is this idea of like, our kids are learning all the time. And it's not just when I sit down with them at the kitchen table with the school book, it's all the time. And I feel like they've actually learned more this summer once we put the textbooks away. They learned more in this last couple months than they learned in the entire school year. And, a really common thing I hear with people is like, oh my gosh, like, don't you feel so much pressure to be your kid's teacher? And in some ways, yes, there is a lot of pressure with that. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm their only teacher. I feel like they learn from you and they learn from their coaches and they learn from their aunts and uncles and their grandparents. And like, there's so many people in my children's lives that they get to learn from that, like, I'm not the sole bearer of knowledge for them.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think a lot of homeschooling moms, you can kind of put that weight down and say, God will bring the right people and like trust in that process.
Mm-hmm. It's a scary thing, homeschooling. Well, I think for us, we navigated it pretty well. However, it's scary in the sense that you see schooling as a must, right? Like it's ingrained in every part of society. It's like if your kid doesn't learn, he's going to be stupid. He's not going to get a good job. He's not going to make any money.
Yeah.
How is he going to function in society?
Well, and the really big one you hear from people is like, they're not going to be socialized.
They're not going to be socialized.
How are you going to socialize them?
They're going to be weird people. You're going to ruin them, right? So these are all the stories that you have to overcome when you choose to homeschool. But then the funny part is that once you get into the game, you realize like, wait a minute, the way that we've been taught learning has to be is just, it's not the only way. And in fact, I think there's a lot of evidence. Yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence to say that it's probably not even the best way to learn. And so we've been on that journey, and I can say that for us, our family, it's probably been the best decision that we've made. One of the best decisions that we've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the times where that becomes really, really evident to me is like, so for sports, for like the sports that our kids do, we have to submit a report card every year, right? And so you put, as a homeschooling mom, I'm making their report card. And so I have all the different subjects on there, but I'm like, man, I can put economics on there. I can put business on there. I can put personal finance on there. I can put, like, there's so many things I can put on this report card because these are things we've actually done and actually talked about and actually had lessons on. Like, they've really done these things, and they're only fourth and first grade or fourth and third grade or whatever they are. See, that's the funny thing with homeschooling.
Yeah,
grades are kind of don't mean anything. So what are they? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. So how do because you really pushed the homeschool thing. I was game with it. I'm like, yeah, I hated school anyways. I didn't do very good in school. So for me, I was like, yeah, absolutely. But so from your perspective, how did you come up to the conclusion that like, I want to homeschool?
Well, and this is where I say like, I've really evolved every year because when I first came to the idea even that like homeschooling was a possibility, because I didn't grow up homeschooled. I didn't know anybody who was homeschooled.
Yeah, me either.
I always knew I wanted to be a mom and never once thought I was going to be a homeschooling mom. Like, it just wasn't even an idea that occurred to me. Yeah. And I really felt like when our oldest was like maybe 2, like literally the only thing I can explain is God put this idea into my heart because I had never even given it a second thought before then. But when he was about 2, I really felt this urge to homeschool. And so I started to really dive into it, and I started to like read books and listen to podcasts. And at this time there was like, I didn't know of any content creators on social media. Like, that wasn't a thing yet. So it was all just books and podcasts. And I tried to immerse myself in like making this as normal as possible. But my desire to homeschool at that point was this idea of like, I can't imagine sending my son to go be with someone else 8 hours a day. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was with my son all day, every day. And the idea of sending him somewhere else was so foreign to me. All I can explain is like my biology just screamed against it. now that he's 11, I don't necessarily feel that as much.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, man, it'd be really nice if he would be gone for a few hours.
Get him out of here.
Sometimes, yes. But so now the values have changed as we've gone, and like why I continue to do it has changed. But that was why I started.
So why do you do it now?
Oh my gosh, because so many reasons. Oh, there's just so many reasons. But one of the biggest ones for me is the relationships I see with my kids with their siblings.
Oh, yeah.
They really are each other's best friends. Even though they're at each other's throats half the time, that is reality. I'm not going to pretend it's not. But they love each other. And they like, I'll watch, when we left to come do this podcast, my boys were playing Keepy Uppy with a balloon in the living room and just like having the best time. And I didn't have that time with my siblings. And I wish I had, you know, like when you're a kid, by the time I was 2, my older sister was already in school. And so like really you only have summers and evenings together. And that's, you know, like I just didn't want that for my kids. I wanted a really close relationship for them. And so that's a really big thing for me. And then just the amount they're able to learn. I think we live a really unique lifestyle in that like you're home all the time. We can travel with you whenever we want. We have a lot more freedom than maybe most families have. So I feel like they're really able to absorb so much of real life. And, you know, you as a business owner, they're able to listen in on these conversations and they know about your clients and what this person's like and how to deal with that person. Like they see so much, like the depth of their education is just so vast. And then as I've progressed through parenting, you know, I have some kids that have learning challenges. And I know that like, man, if this kid was sent to school back when he should have gone to school in kindergarten, he would really have struggled and he really would have just believed that he was stupid. And I don't want that for him. He's not stupid. He's different. He sees things different, but he's really smart in his own way. And so that's been a huge benefit. And then I have other kids that just kind of soar through their schoolwork and like, it's like, they're just so different. And that's really fun. And I just like, I want those experiences with them. I want like watching my kids learn how to read is teaching them how to learn how to read is one of the most challenging things you do as a homeschool mom. But once you see it start to click, there's this like sense of pride that like, oh my gosh, thank God I don't have to miss that. Like, I'm so thankful I get to be a part of that experience with them. And like just yesterday, one of our boys didn't know how to tie his shoes yet, right? And Rich was always kind of on me like, babe, you got to teach him how to tie his shoes. And I'm like, listen, when he wants to learn how to tie his shoes, he's going to learn how to tie his shoes. Well, sure enough, yesterday he decided he wanted to learn. And so him and his 2 little sisters just sat there. They each brought a shoe in the car and they just tied shoes like, and now he knows how to tie his shoes. But
he
like,
was all amazed.
He thinks it's the funnest thing. But like they worked together and like really encouraged each other and like, oh no, you do it. Like that's just such a cool thing to me.
Yeah.
It's just so cool.
Yeah. You know, I will say that little point right there has been somewhat challenging to me is letting the kids develop on somewhat of their own timeline. Like when the time is right, it will happen. And sometimes I found myself like trying to force things.
Yes.
Like you got to force them to learn how to read like now, or you need to force them how to tie their shoe like now, or because these are like quote unquote milestones that you need to hit. But I've really had to learn, like, especially with homeschooling, like you have to be comfortable with just letting things develop.
Yes.
And every kid develops uniquely.
Yes.
And differently.
That's a way
that's been interesting.
That I've evolved a lot as a homeschooling mom is through that process of like, you know, we know this with and this is where I say like homeschooling is just an extent of parenting. It's not a separate thing because we know this when our kids are babies and they're learning how to walk, right? We don't try to force our 3-month-old to walk because they're just developmentally not ready yet. Yeah. And if you try to force them to walk, you're actually going to like do harm, right? And so we don't do that. We let them learn how to walk when they're ready. And they learn how to talk when they're ready. And they start to eat with a fork when they're ready. And guess what? When their body is physically ready to learn how to read, it clicks and they read. Or when they're ready to potty train, like you can force your kid to potty train at 18 months. And you're going to hate it, and you're going to be miserable, and you're going to have way more laundry than you have to. If you wait till they're like 3 or 4 and they're ready, it's a day and it's done. You know what I mean? It's like if you can just like extend that to your homeschool with reading, with writing, with anything, any comprehension. If you just wait till the development ready, it clicks, and it's not a fight.
Yeah.
If you're fighting it, they're just not ready.
They're not ready.
And I still do this sometimes. I'm talking to myself because there are times I'm sitting there. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to do this? We just did this. And it's so frustrating. That's the reality. But I also know logically that that's true.
Yeah. So now, how did you come to the conclusion? Because a lot of people come to us and they find out that we homeschool, and then the first question they ask is like, "Wow, how do you do that?" And then the second question they ask is, "Oh, what school do you do it through?" Right? Like everybody asks that, and then of course your answer is like, "Oh, we do it independently." And then people are like, well, "Independently? Like, how do you do that?" So, how did you come up with that conclusion? Like, I'm not even going to do it through a school. I'm not going to do it through an organization. I'm doing it solely through an independent. Like you made it up, essentially, or you found a resource that.
Yeah. I can't remember necessarily making that conscious decision beyond. I maybe am a little bit
Rebel?
a little bit rebellious in some ways, and a little bit like, you try to tell me what I have to do, and I'm not going to like that very much, unless it makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense to me and you tell me, I don't know, I just don't really jive with that super well. That's not to say it's the only valid way to homeschool. You can go through a charter. You can go through, there's little pod schools. There's so many different ways you can homeschool that are all just as valid. I choose to file my own private school affidavit through the state and do it on my own. And I just feel like for me, that works better for being able to cater to each of my children individually, and also able to cater to our life, and like what's going on in our life is what we're learning about. So like, hey, when we're planting a garden, that is a school lesson, and a really, really valuable one, right? Where they're having to learn, okay, we have to mix the compost and the soil and put it in, and then we have to put the seeds at this depth, and we have to make sure we water them this much. And then a couple of weeks later, like, we're picking food and eating it from that. Like, it's the most amazing process. But if we were doing a curriculum that didn't include that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to include our life, and then also like business conversations that you have. We've had so many good conversations with the kids in the car about investing and why you think about things this way. Like, just so many real life stuff. But like, that counts as school, but it wasn't in a curriculum that anybody gave me.
Yeah, of course.
But it still counts as learning, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So for me, it just works better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's been your biggest challenge homeschool? And I know so like most of the day-to-day homeschooling is me, aside from like the conversations and stuff that you contribute with the family. But has it been hard for you to like watch the process at any point? Like, have you kind of lost faith in the process at any point, or have you been bought in the whole time?
No, I was fully bought in. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I guess because from my standpoint, when I used to go to school, I never saw the purpose in school. Like, me personally, I didn't want to be there. I didn't even know why I was there. Like, I didn't listen to anything the teachers were saying. Mm-hmm. I didn't care about really anything that they were talking about. So then what happened to me is I grew up a lot of life thinking like, why am I just dumb? Mm-hmm. Am I stupid? Like,
really?
Is there something wrong with me, or is it just that like, this is stupid what I'm doing? You know what I mean? And so those were like the questions that I was asking in school, because I could never focus. I could never pay attention. And so a lot of times I was just wondering if there was something wrong with me. But it comes to find out that actually I did love learning. I am an avid learner. Like, to this day, I think that is my most fun thing to do. Like, I want to learn something every day.
But I don't think you really learned that about yourself till you were maybe like 26, 27.
Well, it's because
right?
I wasn't learning things that I actually wanted to learn. Once I found something that I was actually interested in, and I was like, oh, wow, like, this lights me up. I want to learn more about this. All of a sudden, I was a fanatic. I was a freak.
Yeah.
I was learning everything I could about it. Before I was like, maybe I just don't like to learn. Maybe this whole learning thing is just not for me. Yeah, learning's boring. I don't want to read. It sucks. Comes to find out, I love to read. The problem was I didn't find something that I loved, you know? And so I think that's the really cool thing with homeschool, is that there's no wrong or right way to do it, but like, your kid has natural inclinations. You're right. Like, either they're going to be more of like a abstract thinker. They're going to be a very, maybe into the details type of thinker. They're going to be very logical. Maybe they're going to be more creative. And as you find this out about your kid, what they start showing you is like, oh, this is what this son loves. This is what this daughter loves. But that's the cool thing, is like, your kid has something that they truly love and were born for, and they have a natural inclination to. And the more you can feed those natural inclinations that your kid has, to me, the more that they're going to have an unfair advantage in life. Mm-hmm. Because what looks like work to others is just play to them.
Yeah.
You know
they
what I
don't
mean?
even know
They
they're
don't even
learning.
know they're so good at this thing. It's like, dude, how do you do that? It's like, oh, I just naturally love it. Like,
Well,
it's just who I am.
That's one thing that makes me really excited in like the next coming years, because we have one kid who's like really into the details and like likes to build Legos and do that kind of stuff, and then we have one who's like totally out of the box, totally like opposite.
100%.
But I feel like they could come together and actually do something probably really
cool in life. Yeah.
If they, let's say just as a project, they do a business together. Like you'd have this one guy who's like the visionary and the thinker and whatever, and you have this other guy that's in the details making it happen and dealing with, like, you need both of those things. But it's cool to me that like I can see those two strengths in them and we can actually like facilitate that.
100%.
That's kind of cool.
And I think, I think that's one of the core problems with school. And I'm not going to say it's, what's the word I'm looking for? I think that's the core problem, is that it tries to fit everybody in the same box, and not all kids just fit in the box. And because it has to work like that, because you have years and curriculums and you have to get them through the curriculum. So I'm not saying that school is necessarily the problem, but the way that it's structured is kind of the problem. Mm-hmm. And it has to feed everybody through the system the same way. And not everybody's going to fit that mold. Mm-hmm. And so what happens when you don't fit that mold? Well, now you think you're stupid.
Yeah, you're on the fringe.
You have ADHD. You're just not, you're on, now you think you have all these ailments when it's really like, no, I just didn't fit into this mold.
Yeah. And I understand that sometimes this is legitimate, but I think society-wise, we have an epidemic of kids being medicated that don't need to be. They're just in a bad system, or a system that doesn't serve them.
That doesn't serve them.
And that's really sad.
And we have a son that just like that, where I guarantee you, if he was in the school system, he would be that guy.
Yeah.
You have to get him on meds. He's attention deficit disorder. He's way too rambunctious. He doesn't listen. He's very slow. Like all these things, right? And now you're like, as a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And now you have anxiety, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get him on meds and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's not the kid, it's the system.
It's a system.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I've loved it. I've loved the whole process.
Yeah. And I think like for me growing up in school, and like when we were growing up, homeschooling wasn't really an option. So like I don't fault my parents at all. Like my mom even says now, she's like, man, I wish I could have homeschooled you guys, but like there just wasn't the resources then. And I know that my dad was coming from a really good place because he just wanted us to succeed and wanted the best for us. But I do remember, like I was more social. I went to school so I could cheer at the football game. I was not there because I liked school, right? And so that was the thing that my dad would like. He made me go to my teachers every week. Every Friday, I had to go to all my teachers, and they had to write down what my grade was at that point and sign it. And if I had anything less than a B, I couldn't cheer at the football game that Friday night.
Yeah.
To the point that, like, you always make don't make an honest person a liar.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, I remember in biology class, I had a C. And so I literally forged the teacher's signature. And, like, I'm not a kid who would do that.
That's so funny.
But I was like,
you felt like you were forced into a situation where you had to do something.
I felt like I was kind of forced into a situation because, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I remember those experiences as a kid are like, I would go to school and then I'd go to practice for hours and then I would come home and I would have to sit at the table. And my dad had this rule that we had to sit at the table and do homework for 2 hours. It didn't matter if you had 2 hours worth of homework. If you finished your homework in 30 minutes and you could read for an hour and a half, but you were not getting up until it had been 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so I remember I'd be sitting there till 9 o'clock at night, just like crying like, Dad, I'm so burnt out. I'm so done. I've had school all day. I had practice all day. Now I've been doing this. Like, I'm so tired. And it was like, there was no moving that wall.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want that experience for our kids. And I know my dad had really good intention. He really just wanted us to succeed. And he didn't have these opportunities as a kid.
Oh, of course.
But I remember it being really hard. And I do remember feeling like, am I just like stupid? I remember there was one time where he made me sit out of a football game and I was the like cheer captain, right? So to not be there, you kind of stand out and it was so embarrassing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I had to tell like, I'm sitting out for grades. And normally if you sit out for grades, it's because you're
100%.
failing because the school made you sit out. But no, I had a C in biology. So my dad's
100%.
making me, and that was just really embarrassing.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, because I was always in sports, right? I played almost every sport you can imagine. But I can't tell you how many times my dad would come to school, my parents would come to school to watch me play.
And you weren't playing.
And I wasn't playing. Because I didn't do my homework. I got a bad grade. I mean, this happened countless times. And the reality is I never did homework. Like, kids were always like, I got to go home and do homework. I was like, dude, I ain't going to do homework. I would just show up the day of school, and I knew I had relationships with the smart kids, and they would just let me copy their homework. And so I would just go in there, I'd copy the homework real quick before school, turn it in, and I didn't do homework. Like it was just not something I was going to do.
That is so
And then
funny.
I used to drive my dad crazy because he's like, my son is like, he will not do homework. Like,
But
he just
see, if
doesn't do
you're
it.
looking at school as a process, like what's the point of that?
I don't know.
Like what's the point?
Yeah, like if I was in school today, like I would find a way to have AI do everything for me. And I would have like
And I'm sure there's kids
system
doing
set
that.
up to where I wouldn't do anything, you know?
So like to me, there's no genuine learning there. Like what is the value of that system? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I knew I wanted to opt out of that system altogether. I didn't have super fond memories of it. And I didn't want any part of
Not
that.
to mention, I will say this too. I learned everything, almost all the negative things that I learned in school. So I learned, about pornography in school. I learned about drugs and addictions in school. I learned about cussing and swearing and all the things in school. I learned about, cheating and backstabbing people like in school, like all the negative things I learned in school.
Yeah. But you
and
were
so-
socialized.
Yeah, but I was socialized.
That's how you were socialized, Richard. Like that's the wild thing to me when people
yeah.
come with that argument. I'm like, okay, in what real world scenario
Yeah.
are you with a bunch of people your age? Like a room full of 30 people your age? Like that never happens.
Yeah,
And then
100%.
like, why would you want to outsource the socialization of your kid to an undeveloped 10-year-old? Like, I don't want you socializing
Yeah.
my kid. I'll do it. Thank you very
it's
much.
tough. Because we all know that, you become who you hang around. So that is a
Yes.
very scary thing. And so that's why my parents, junior year, I think it was, they pulled me out of my high school and they sent me to a Christian high school because they were very concerned with my surroundings,
Yeah.
which was probably a great move.
Which is
Obviously,
probably
that's
good,
how
yeah.
we met and we became, what we are today. But
Yeah.
but it's a real thing. It's
Yeah.
a real thing, especially as you get to that teenage, because a couple decisions here, a couple decisions there really shape your life.
Yes. And especially
And-
when they get
and-
older, it's like those decisions
Yeah.
have bigger consequences,
Bigger
right? It's not
consequences.
just,
That's
they
right.
threw a fit in the Target because they didn't get a candy bar. It's like there's real life consequences when they get
yeah,
older.
100%.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so what's kind of funny now is like, all the kids are going back to school like this week. Just the way I do things, the way my brain works, I don't start until September, actual like homeschooling. But I find myself this year really digging my heels in with the idea of like sitting down with curriculum. So long story short, I have this friend, her name's McCrae, McCrae. And she is a legitimate full-time unschooler. And I've always been so inspired by her, but I also don't feel like I have the confidence to do it in a lot of ways. Like I feel like it takes,
Yeah, I know. We've talked about it. We're like, man,
I've always talked about
takes
it.
a lot of yeah. You have to have conviction. You have to have a lot of
conviction. You have to be really bought in on the process. That like the process is the education.
Yeah.
So the idea of unschooling, if you're just kind of confused by that term, is like it's very child-led learning. So like when the child is ready and wants to learn about a certain thing, you just kind of dive into that with them, and it progresses that way. And her oldest, I think, is 15 or 16, and he's phenomenal and does great. And like, but I've always watched her and been really inspired and never done it, but always wanted to.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I had this epiphany over the summer of like, oh my gosh, once we put the school books away and just like really dove headfirst into life together, our kids learned so much. And just for a couple of examples, like we were able to travel to Rome and to Greece, and I feel like my kids experienced other cultures and other food, and they got to go tour the Colosseum and the Vatican, and like we could have read about those things in a textbook, but like they got to see it,
Yeah,
and
they got to see it, yeah.
that's really cool.
Yep, it's true.
We planted a garden and did all of that thing. We have the chickens and did all of that thing. This was kind of a fail, but it was still a learning lesson. The boys decided they were going to build a table together. And so they just wanted to take some scrap wood and a hammer and nails and go build a table. And I was like, well, that's perfect because I want a table for the garden. So when it's done, if it's nice, I'll pay you for it and I'll put it in the garden. And they literally built like this skinny little table that they finished it and they were trying to carry it to like the house, and it like completely fell apart. So I never even got to see the table, but at least they learned how not to build a table.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But they did that.
Yeah.
But we joined a new sports team that's actually been together for a couple of years. And so we really had to figure out, okay, how do I fit in with this group of people that's already been together for a long time? And how do I want to present myself? And how do I find my place here? And like that's really, really important education where I'm feeling like, man, my kids learned so much that was so valuable. I don't want to like pull back because now we're diving into the books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm struggling there a little bit.
Yeah. The funny part is that when you first start homeschool, you're looking at, okay, what's the right way to do it versus the wrong way to do it. And what I've come to realize is that you're asking the wrong question.
I'm sorry, say that again. I was reading a comment and I missed what you said.
Like when we first started with homeschool, my whole thing was, okay, what's the right way to do it and what's the wrong way to do it? But then now being in it for the last however many years.
This is our 7th year.
It's like, that's not even the question that you should be asking. I get why people ask it because they're so concerned, like, I don't want to do it wrong. But really, there is no wrong way to do homeschool. And that's like the unschooling thing. Some people would say, that's like, well, you can't do that. Like, what do you mean unschool? Like, how does that? But like, it works. And so like life is the greatest teacher. And as long as you're experiencing life, they will learn. Right. And yeah, do they have to learn how to read? I mean, yes, I think reading is a basic foundational skill. Writing, yes. Basic math, yes. Beyond that, it's like, what do you want to learn?
Yeah.
You know, and those are like the foundational things that everybody needs. But it's like after that, man, it's free game.
Yeah.
And
so that's kind of where I'm leaning right now is like, okay, we're going to, just because in my head I have to do it, we're going to sit down with like our math curriculum and we're going to do that still because I need to do that. And probably language arts. We're going to sit down with our language arts curriculum. And beyond that, I'm like, man, let's just like lean into life learning this year.
Learning.
And I'm really like, that gets me excited.
100%.
Whereas like, if you just have this overflow of curriculum that you have to get to, I mean, I've got 4 students. Like that can be really 4 students in 4 different levels.
Yes.
And that can be really overwhelming. I'm like, I just want to learn in life.
Well, plus you feel like you have to manufacture scenarios where it's like, no, life will manufacture it for you. There's plenty in life that if you do these experiences and do these things together, like they are always learning. And there's questions to be asked and there's questions to be answered. And I think part of that though, is that you as a parent have to be aware as well. Like, where are the learning lessons? Because sometimes your kids won't recognize them, but if you can point them out throughout the day, I think that really helps.
And I think a lot of times as a parent, like you've maybe learned the lesson, so you don't recognize it as a learning lesson for your kid.
Yeah. You know, you have to almost be like the baby back to the like almost like, hey, you don't know.
Exactly.
You have to stay curious.
Or like, you know, be like, okay, I'm going back to the garden example, but like I learned this year, I didn't know this, that like tomatoes can't turn red over 85 degrees. They can't produce the chemical that turns them red.
I know, you told me that.
So you have to pick them early and bring them inside. I never knew that. And like I got to learn that with the kids of like, hey, that one doesn't look ready, but we actually can pick it and bring it inside because of this chemical reason that's going on inside. And we can, you know what I mean? Like
100%. Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, why do your fingers shrivel up in the pool?
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you, that's actually reverse osmosis and it's really cool. Like that's what's happening chemically in your body. It's just, there's all these little opportunities for learning that don't have to be facilitated by a textbook.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you see them when they come, your kids will learn a lot.
I agree with that.
So we're going to wrap up here, but what do you think is your biggest contribution to our homeschool? You as their father.
My biggest contribution? That's a good question. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it's the conversations that maybe we've had with the kids. But I would say that the greatest thing that I probably did in the beginning was just give you the okay to do it.
That's true.
And
you're on board.
There might be, it's kind of like when you wanted to do your home births. I was very against it at first. I was like, no way. Like, what if something goes wrong? What if like you're dying? Like, how are we going to get you to like help? You know what I mean? So the first 2 we didn't do at home. And then I kind of came around to the idea. I'm like, okay, let's do one at home.
Well,
you know, and that was my greatest contribution is like just letting you do it at home.
Or being willing to learn about it, right? Because when you just hear, oh, you want to have a home birth, That's so dangerous. What if you need a C-section?
I was totally bought in. Like, that never is going to happen. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, but if you dive into like the reality of home birth, it's like, oh, okay, it's actually
And then you look at other countries that do massive amounts of home births, and they actually have lower death rates. And like, you just don't know, right?
Yeah, you have to be willing to learn about it.
You have to be willing to learn. And so I think if I look at a very big picture, I think that was my greatest contribution, is just being on board and letting you do your thing with it. And out of that has flourished a lot of other things.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's true. I think that's also selling yourself really short, though, because I think you bring a lot to our homeschool, just in like you said, the conversations you have with the kids, the conversations they're able to overhear, the conversations that you and I have, that, like, I think they're able to learn and glean a lot from that. And then you also bring a lot of like the discipline, but a lot of the fun. What was it? 2 weeks ago, you started listening to like motivational Tom Brady stuff with Riker in the car. Yeah. And if you guys like haven't listened to Tom Brady, his story is actually really amazing.
It is fascinating.
And if you have an athlete of any kind, you should listen to it. But it was so funny because when you started doing it with Riker, he was like, Dad, this is stupid. This is whatever. And then the other day, I had him in the car on the way to practice, and he's like, Mom, let's listen to Tom Brady motivational stuff. And I'm like, okay. So like, your kids aren't even going to necessarily tell you that like this is paying off, but it is.
100%.
And I've even seen it on the football field of like little things he's picked up that he's learning, that like he has this thing in his head that he's got to be at practice 45 minutes early. And if he's not 45 minutes early, he's
crazy
late.
about this. Literally crazy.
He's crazy about it. But like, I can also appreciate the work ethic,
He's nuts. He's nuts with that.
He is. He makes everybody a little crazy. It's like 4:01 and his practice starts at 5:30. He's like, we've got to go now.
So from this episode, I guess, what are you hoping, like, if there's one takeaway that everybody should leave with, what are you hoping the takeaway is?
Oh my gosh, just the confidence that life is a good teacher, and that if you're willing to facilitate that with your kids, and like this idea that as a mother, like, you taught your child how to sit up and how to walk, or you didn't even teach them, they just were ready, but you were there to facilitate it. And you were there to help them learn how to eat, and you were there to help them learn how to talk. You can also be there to help them learn how to do math and learn about history. Like, it can just flow from your parenting. And I promise you, you are equipped to do it. And if you don't feel equipped to do it, don't put them into the same system that left you feeling unequipped.
Yeah.
You're a human being. You can learn. You only need to be a second ahead of your student, right? Like,
yeah, one step ahead.
In the trenches, learning with them is totally fine.
Yeah.
And so if I left parents with anything, it's the confidence that, like, hey, you can homeschool, and it doesn't have to look like school at home. I think that's the worst way to do homeschool. If I were to, like, I think there's so many ways to do it well, but the worst way to do it is try to recreate school at home.
Yeah, for sure.
At that case, just send them to school.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything better for them.
Even so, like, early on, remember, you try to do schooling like in a table
at a certain
time and this, and then you realize relatively quickly, you know what?
I felt like it took me a couple of years.
Yeah,
I probably fought that for like 3 years.
You fought that for a little. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know,
but now you have a different, like, it's like no, just let it. Again, it's kind of coming back to this theme of like, just let things kind of happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I guess really my goal with this episode is just like I said, this is our 7th year of homeschooling, and I'm sure next year when we do this episode, because this is an annual thing for us now. I'm going to have some completely different epiphany that, like, because every year I've changed and grown as a homeschooler.
Yeah.
But if you could glean something from the last 6 years of my experience, hey, take that, you know?
Yeah.
And then
sure.
Go on your way and figure stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you have this little inclination, like people might have it, where they kind of feel like, man, I don't know. I kind of feel like my son or daughter shouldn't be in the school system. Like, they might have this little thing in the back of their mind. I would lean into that. Because that is something to pay attention to.
And that's why I like to do this at the beginning of the school year. Because I feel like, there's so many parents that are sending their kids back to school that are like, thank God, go back to school. But then there's also a really small group that's like, Do they have to? Like
Something doesn't feel right. Like, I just think it could be it shouldn't be this way. Like, whatever it might be.
And I know people, and I think this is so hard, and I have so much respect for these people, but like they work full time and homeschool. Like, it can be done. It's not what I do. I can't really speak to that, but I know that it can be done.
Yeah.
But I just think homeschooling is so cool, and it's such a good option.
Yeah.
And I will advocate for it forever because I just think it's so great.
Forever. Cool.
I have one last question for you. If you had to pick your number one biggest benefit of homeschooling, what would it be? Number one.
There's so many. This might be the wrong answer, but I would say it's the time you get with your kids. Mm-hmm. That would be my number one. Because I know that at least that time is spent in a direction that I would want them to go. And I think where you spend your time is what you ultimately become and who you become. So that is, to me, is very important.
Yeah.
Where they spend their time. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And it's funny. I feel like if you look at the typical household, right? They go to work 8 hours, whatever. The kids go to school for 8 to 10 hours, whatever it might be. So you're losing, let's just say 8 hours a day, right? Like for us, we have those 8 hours together as a family. So it's like almost as if we're going to have multiple lifetimes together, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then it all comes to an end. But at least in this season, it's just that extra time.
Yeah, I won't regret
is valuable.
that.
I feel like, yeah.
I agree. And the last thing I just like to encourage homeschool parents with is that like you're gonna leave gaps. You're human. Like you're not gonna be everything, and you just have to trust that like God is big enough and has enough grace that He will fill in the gaps that you leave because you're gonna leave them. And so don't obsess over it. Don't do your best. But also have enough faith in God that like, hey, fill in the gaps that I leave and He will. He's faithful and He'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Well, let me ask you that question though. I want to hear your answer. What'd you ask me?
The biggest benefit of homeschooling?
Benefit, yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can get a bigger benefit than the time with your kids and the time of the siblings with each other.
Yeah, time with siblings with each other.
If I had to choose one, that would be it.
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah. Solid.
And also the way you can like cater to each kid. Just because I know that we have kids that would struggle, and I'm just thankful they don't have to.
Yeah, for sure. Amen to that, sister. Does that wrap it up? But beyond that, so yeah, thanks guys for listening to the podcast. Again, if you enjoy the podcast, one way that you can really help us out, or probably help us out the most, is by sharing this podcast with others. We don't promote it. We don't run ads to it. It really just grows organically. And so that would be amazing because if you love it, I'm sure somebody else would love it. And then, of course, if you're looking to grow your marriage, want to have a stronger marriage, we have some resources down below. We have free and paid to help you thrive in your marriage.
But that's it because we're done. All right. Thanks,
We are done.